The Philippines is a beautiful tropical country that is not only blessed by the bounty of nature but is also culturally vibrant. This nation has been heavily influenced by the Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, and Americans. Because of this, its flair for fashion, music, and arts became more vivacious than its Southeast Asian neighbors. However, despite the hundreds of years of foreign influence, there are still unique Filipino traditions, norms, faith, and beliefs. When you visit the Philippines, it is important to understand them. Make sure to check out our sponsor Christian Filipina. The first 100 people to click the link in the description will get a free consultation on how to find a partner in the Philippines. Below are some of the most important do's and don'ts that you have to remember when you are in the Philippines. Remember, No Neck Ed, from 90 Day Fiancé? He's a perfect example of everything not to do when visiting the Philippines. Number 1. Expecting people to arrive on time. Yup, you heard that right, but the Filipinos are well known to be late to so many informal meetups. Many foreigners find this to be very unprofessional. However, it's reality in the Philippines. Filipinos are so laid back in their view of the time, that they end up violating the personal time of other people. If you will meet up with a Filipino, be there 10 minutes after the scheduled time for meeting up. That way, you won't be waiting so long for them to show up. Here in the Philippines, even government officials get to work 15 to 30 minutes late, and many official events begin at least half an hour late. Number 2. Getting offended when asked personal questions. In this sunny archipelago, people tend to ask personal questions. That's how a Filipino shows interest in you. Don't take it personally. Besides, you can ask them personal questions as well. There is nothing to be bothered about, really, since most of these questions won't be too personal and will likely be about your family, friends, and/or hobbies. Number 3. Criticizing the Philippines directly as a country. Let's be honest, we all do it. We even get irritated when other expats do it, so we know it's wrong, but we still do it anyway. While it might not be offensive to express disappointment about some essential services, especially the internet speed, or the power cuts, it will undoubtedly be a different story if you constantly and incessantly complain. Whining is insulting to most Filipinos, mainly because they are more hospitable to foreigners visiting or living in their country. Just think how you would feel if a guest came to your home and kept complaining. Number 4. Criticizing people's karaoke skills. This might be somewhat silly to you. However, like most Asians, the Filipinos do love karaoke. You can count on being invited to a karaoke party while you're in the Philippines. So, brace yourself. In the karaoke bar, never criticize the person singing, even if he or she has the most horrible voice you've heard in your entire life. It is not worth it, you'll end up making enemies. Number 5. Showing frustration in public. Want to become a social pariah? Start making public outbursts. Filipinos are very friendly, respectful, and polite. Therefore, when someone publicly displays frustration, especially if a younger person does it to an older person, the damage to his reputation can be extreme, especially if you live in a small community. If you plan to live here, you're going to need local allies, period. Being a jerk in public isn't going to help you gain any friends. Number 6. Showing disappointment over not having enough space in the jeepney. The colorful and loud jeepneys are the most common public transportation here in the Philippines. If you want to save money by riding them, then brace yourself. It's rude if you complain about the person sitting next to you getting cozy in the jeepney. Public transportation is meant to be shared, deal with it. Number 7. Pointing. I remember watching an episode of The Simpsons where the family went to a snooty school to enroll Lisa. At the school, the headmaster slapped Homer's hand for pointing, saying, "Monkeys point." To which he responded, "Monkeys cry." While the joke may have been funny, it turns out that pointing is considered quite rude and aggressive in the archipelago. Number 8. Saying no to food. Filipinos take pride in their hospitality. The best way of expressing the Filipino warmth is by sharing food. It is offensive if the person offered food will say no. However, if you are really full, you may graciously decline and just explain that you've just had a big meal and then thank the other person for offering food to you. Number 9. Joining political rallies if you are a foreigner. The Bureau of Immigration clearly stated in a press release that all foreign nationals, be it a tourist or an expat, are prohibited from taking part in any mass demonstrations and political rallies all throughout the island nation. Remember this for your own safety. There was an Australian nun who got deported because she joined a rally about women empowerment. The Philippine government considers it meddling in the internal affairs as a sovereign Filipino nation. The worst that could happen to you is not just getting deported, but getting blacklisted. Number 10. Staring at strangers. Not only will this make the other party feel a little anxious, uncomfortable, and nervous, but it could mean that you have bad intentions towards the person you are having a long gaze at. It is definitely okay to look and smile at strangers though. Number 11. Being impatient. The Philippines is still a developing country, which means that many transactions have to be done in the old way. Now, for a foreign traveler or expat, this can be quite difficult at times. Just hold your horses and try never to lose your temper. When you remain calm, other Filipinos will notice this, and they will surely offer a helping hand. I have encountered an American foreigner who cursed the dusty roads of his wife's provincial hometown relentlessly for half an hour at the airport. Then, a richer-looking Filipina lady openly reprimanded him. On rare occasions, these people can get reported by locals for causing a scene. This is how valuable patience is in the Philippines. Number 12. Shaking hands too firmly. In Western culture, firm grips and handshakes are quite standard since it denotes having a good self-confidence and is also a welcoming gesture too. However, it is the opposite here in the Philippines. When you meet people for the first time, smile warmly, then have a soft and relaxed handshake. Always remember to smile and greet people with "hi" or "hello" when you meet people for the first time too. Filipinos are prominently known for their warmth and joyfulness. This fact will be very prominent throughout your stay here. What you should do: practice Filipino courtesy at all times. As mentioned earlier, Filipinos are very courteous and respectful. If you are unsure of what to call someone else, it is best to address them with sir or ma'am. For elders, you may address them as tito, uncle, or tita, aunt. For sure, you aren't used to doing this, but you'll get it the more you do it. When the locals hear you address them with those words, they warm up instantaneously. Not only will you win new friends and tour guides, but they can also help you when you get entangled into untold circumstances. Say, please, thank you, and always be generous in giving compliments. The Filipinos are also very well known to be people pleasers. This is especially true in dealing with foreigners. The country is one of the best tourist spots in Asia, right? As a result, Filipinos make sure that you'll feel comfortable all the time. When you want to ask for a favor, simply say, please, and when you receive any form of assistance, always say, thank you, with a big smile. It would be amazing to say complimentary remarks on how hospitable the people are to you. They'll be more eager to go the extra mile, just to ensure your stay in the Philippines will be a pleasant one. Learn key Tagalog phrases. Learning some Tagalog or Filipino phrases can help you to make a good first impression with your GF and her family. You don't need to become fluent, but learning how to introduce yourself will help you a lot. Also, learning some common insults will help you determine who really likes you, especially your GF, and who doesn't, since a lot of Filipinos will insult foreigners in public thinking the foreigner can't understand them. Understand the Filipino communication style. Just like any other country, Filipinos also have a unique way of expressing themselves. Filipinos always say the word po as a very well-mannered way of communicating to anyone who may be older than you. The word po is a Tagalog word that has become popular all throughout the country. When talking to other people, eye contact is quite important, as this means that you are genuinely interested and that you wish to communicate better. Filipinos can be verbally indirect, especially when expressing dislike. This is an aspect in the Filipino culture that most people from the Western Hemisphere of the world will find a little odd. Also, the most polite way of saying no could be, "I'll think about it," and "maybe." The struggle in saying no in the Philippines is definitely real. Gestures that are very uniquely Filipino. Of course, we have to understand the non-verbal manner of communication in the sunny Philippine Islands. Raising the eyebrows usually means yes. So when the other party does not verbally respond to you, check if he or she raised his or her eyebrows. As I said before, pointing with the index finger is rude, so most Pinoys point with the lips instead. A lift of the head with a big grin is a common greeting here in the Philippines. An open mouth during a conversation means that you have not been understood by the other party. Final thoughts. At the end of the day, only the Filipino people are still considered to be the most charming people in the planet. They might have some flaws, especially with punctuality. However, these are cultural differences that have been overlooked by many foreigners. The number of repeat visits to the beautiful Philippine shores is the best testament to this. Who can resist the beautiful scenery, beaches, warm smiles of the people and the more affordable lifestyle in this tropical paradise? I hope that I covered most of what you have to understand about the culture, manner of communication, nonverbal cues and other important matters for you before you travel here in the Philippines. This should ensure that your stay in this tropical paradise is as pleasant as possible. Don't forget to like and subscribe.